Hey, y'all. Welcome back to For the Fans, where tonight we are so excited to talk about that wonderful, totally fair, not flawed in any way, latest episode of Survivor 44. And tonight I am so excited to be joined by Kevin, Karen, and Robbie. How are y'all doing tonight?
I'm
Doing
great,
great.
man. This episode was perfect in every way.
Perfect.
I
Yeah.
loved it. I don't know what you're complaining about.
I feel like episodes and like this are now. I think I'm going to like this. So far, I do like, and I think I'm going to like the season no matter what. But just episodes like this really makes me wonder how it makes it out of the ideas room.
So here's what I'm going to say. I think this season is being completely saved by dynamic casting. And if they did not have such a freaking stellar cast, then this season would be a complete bomb, in my opinion. And
they
I'm ready to argue why.
is that true though? I mean, and I say that because, especially since Jesse Tannenbaum took over, the casting has been pretty top notch.
Yeah, no, the casting has been good, and the casting has been good all of the seasons in the 40s. But
Yeah,
I think this cast is especially fun. Like there's a lot of I mean, you've got, little Jamie Lynn running around here. Like she would be a crazy character on most seasons, and she's fucking normal because we've got
that's
Carolyn and
Carolyn.
Jam Jam out here. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? She's totally calm. And like
I'm
Danny, out here.
I'm much more interested in when they were putting together the cast, how they decided to put Jam Jam and Carolyn on the same tribe.
I love
I'm
it.
much more intrigued. They were like, "There's some crazy here. Let's just put like a lot of the crazy on one tribe.
Loaded
How about
up.
we do that?"
Loaded up. And I really think that there's a couple of people that are, you know, less highlighted because of how forward Jam Jam and Carolyn especially are.
Well, this
Um,
episode in particular, though, too, like this episode, I felt almost like it was on fast forward, where we got a lot of snippets of all the little pieces of action, but not like, even the challenges. I felt like they were just bang, bang, bang done. Not a lot of emphasis on, the people tripping and the overcoming and the jumping and the puzzle, and like just so much stuff was just get it done, get it done, get it done. Okay, now we're back to camp, and then it just felt, I don't know what it was about it. I'll have to rewatch it again, but I don't know. It felt rushed in some way, and I don't know if it's just the three tribe kind of aspect that forces that, plus going to another island, plus all these other things. Just trying to wedge it all, plus a reward, plus a lot of stuff was tried to wedge in here. I feel like this reward challenge of any. I mean, we could have probably chopped that
yeah,
out.
I mean, there's so much to cover. So let's jump in because we got a lot to get through. All right,
Mhm.
so this episode is going to open up in a yoga sesh. Um, our
One
little
thing
soca friends finding their zen.
I think it's real interesting that like the last like couple of episodes we did not open up like the night of the vote out. And we've
Mm.
opened up like the next day because I really want to know what your feelings are immediately thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, there's a difference between the Helen vote and the Claire vote,
Right?
right? And I think when you come back and everybody lied to Sarah about the Helen vote, not everybody, but people lied. Like there was some back and forth there. The Claire vote, I think, was pretty straightforward. So there's just nothing to talk about. I think they probably just went
Right.
back to camp and were like, all right,
That makes
let's
sense.
go to bed and get some sleep.
Yeah. So,
Everybody was chill about it. Oh,
That-
it is what
all
it
right.
is. All right.
That was easy. All right. Bye, Claire.
let's eat her portion of rice and go to bed.
But we're gonna get this guy Josh. I think that's his name. Oh yeah, no, that is. We just haven't seen him on the episodes.
Yeah,
It's been
who's
like
he?
two
Is
episodes.
this
It's been like 3 episodes, man. We saw him last episode.
but I mean, this is just crazy to me because this man has the best story maybe ever that Survivor has gotten, and we've not gotten any of his story and none of him. And
I
so,
told you his story's gonna come a little later. They're gonna tell all about it. We have to do like a
well,
cutback
sure.
thing.
I mean, they're not
He's gonna
going to
be like
vote him
late in the
off
game.
without us getting his story. But
Yeah,
this is the first time he's really getting some screen time. And
true.
he's saying that he's like, this is the place for me because we've got these duos, Heidi and Danny, Franny and Matt, and I'm in the middle, and they all want me. Karen,
Cut
is this
to
how you thought this tribe was positioned? Like, are you on board with Josh's thinking?
Okay, so I think Josh's thinking makes more sense for the couples, but obviously that doesn't seem to be what's happening, because then what happens when they lose
exactly.
again?
You cut right to Danny saying, "Listen, Josh thinks he's in the middle. He's not. We like you guys better than we like him." So Josh
And
thinks
they
he's in the
may, but
middle.
strategically, can you
Yeah,
do
I
that?
mean, the middle is a great position to be in, or it can be a very dangerous position, especially if
Yeah.
you overestimate where you're actually at. And so he's like, "Oh, I get to be the decision maker," and they're like, "Nah, bro, you getting voted out if we go back."
But
Well, the one
you
thing I
can't
love,
overstate that, though. You can't overstate the gameplay that Danny has right here because, quite often that's all they do is they go for the third. They try to bring them in,
yeah,
get 3-2 advantage. But Danny knows that he has that little idol that nobody knows about, and he's safe if he has to be. Do you know what I
right.
mean? So he's
Mhm.
got some power. So he can risk Heidi, right?
Not
And he
just
can
that,
say, okay,
Robbie.
duo, and if we go to tribal, I know I'm safe.
He
Yeah.
also knows that Matt has that fake little idol as well. So he knows that Matt's gonna be like, he's gonna present his idol. Matt's gonna present his idol. Just gonna be like, sorry, bro, Matt, yours doesn't really work. And so he knows that he's not really concerned. And like you said, if he has to sacrifice Heidi, so be it. He's not going anywhere. In
Exactly.
addition, with Josh thinking that he was in the middle and it's going to be the kingmaker, it's very interesting because that means the word never got back to him that he was the other name being floated. And if it did, it got back to him that only Claire was trying to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
And
just
I mean,
another strong episode for Danny, I guess is kind of what I'm saying here. At least at this
Yep.
point in the episode, we're seeing time after time where he plays these very delicate situations very calmly and very well. Yeah.
and that's a thought I want to come back to at the very end after we talk about this. I want to talk, I want to get all of your opinions on who has been the most surprising to you this season, because I've got several that have really just kind of blown me out of the water from what I thought they were going to be. So we'll come back to that. But time to move over to the Tika Beach, everyone's favorite hot mess express.
Before we go there,
Mhm.
I listened to the Jeff Probst podcast and I was listening to it from last week. They were talking. There's a producer on there that is not from Survivor. The podcast is set up as Jeff, a producer from Survivor, and a producer from television that's not from Survivor. And the three of them are talking about things. The producer that's not from Survivor has said, like during episode 1, that he felt like Danny was a little Tony-esque, like a Tony light, with the things that he does and how he runs around. After last week's episode, Jeff relented a little bit and said, okay, maybe there's a little Tony in Danny after all. After seeing tonight, and like we were just talking about how he's thinking, do we think that Danny is like a Tony Vlachos Jr.?
Maybe.
I think it's a possibility.
I mean,
think it's possible, too.
I love him, like, doing the front rolls, like sneaking through the brush, eating the paper. I mean, I am sure that he was like, oh, if I ever get a clue to an idol,
I'm gonna
like
do
I'm
all
just gonna
this.
eat it.
I'm gonna
Like
eat it.
I love it. I love the people that also know that yes, you're playing a game for $1 million, but you are also putting on a TV show. And so I am here for everything, Danny.
I think it's easy to be aggressive when no one's catching you. What set Tony apart was even when they knew he was doing it,
He still did it.
and he still got away with it. So that will be the point where, like, if everybody is coming after Danny and yet he still finds idols, still wins when he needs to, and pulls it off at the end. Okay, but you can't compare yourself to the GOAT. In my opinion.
He didn't compare himself.
After 3, no, okay, sure, but even producers, of course, they're going to try to build them up, right? They're producers. Like, you're not going to be like,
that guy doesn't work on Survivor. That guy doesn't work on Survivor, and it was going mainly from the reason I'm
on the podcast with, right? Like he knows
true.
He knows what he's there for.
Well, the reason I jump in there though is because I did not believe it at first, but then watching the way he thinks, right? and that's what I'm mainly going by. Not by him running through the woods and doing all that stuff. His one thing that I get from Tony Vlachos is harness chaos, right? He is chaotic, but he has it like harnessed in a ball. Like if you were to see like all the things firing, he has it under control in this little orb in front of him. It looks insane, but he has it under control. And I feel like that's very similar to what I'm seeing Danny do with him making Josh think that he's very close to them, but knowing that he's going to cut Josh. Him telling Matt and him giving this idol to Matt, basically knowing that it's fake, and then calling him out in front of Josh to make him talk about it. It's like a little bit of controlled
it's
chaos
great.
starting
It's
to
great.
pop off. Yeah, which is why I those are the things when I think of Tony Vlachos, that's the things I think of, and that's why I'm kind of seeing it in Matt.
I think he's closer to Tony than anyone's been in a while.
Correct. Closer than War Dog, closer than other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think he's only 10%.
I mean, like I had my hopes last
but
I had my
that's
hopes
still
last
closer.
season that that's what Cody was going to be, but Cody just didn't have the game knowledge. Like,
Correct.
and Cody was way too much of like a free spirit as
A
opposed
cool bro.
to
Cody was a cool bro.
Yeah, he was a cool bro, which we all know I love Cody, not taking anything away from him, but he just wasn't Tony-esque like I initially thought he would be. All right, so on to the Tika tribe, and we're going to get this shot of the birdcage, and the birdcage has a red X. Wow.
Yeah.
So, Karen, what are you thinking about these sticks? Do you like this plan of Carolyn's?
So this is just something like I'm not a chaotic person at all. Like I'm a person who is easily bored and I like variety and all that type of stuff, but I am not a chaotic person, and so it wouldn't even occur to me to do this. Maybe if I thought about it, like I would just be too afraid to do it. So, but I am impressed with Carolyn because even though she seems like a little unhinged, like she does know what's going on, and I appreciate her efforts to add some variety to and fun, I guess, to the show.
So when we were just talking, I was just talking about Danny and his chaos and Tony chaos in a little ball, right? Carolyn's chaos escapes, and you see her catch it and pull it back, and then keep having to reach up and grab it. It just keeps flying out because you can't keep it here. But she's quick to grab it and pull it back.
I mean, she's, like if Danny's got it like nice and tight, Carolyn's got it like in a loose ball, but she's still mostly got her shit together.
It shoots out and she grabs it and pulls it back in to keep it here.
Well, we touched on this last week, I think, too, Kevin, where, I think what I'm witnessing with Carolyn is that she thinks she recognizes what's going on very well. She strategizes very well. She recognizes what's going on, how she's being perceived, and she perceives, her world around her accurately, but she doesn't convey them in the same way that other people do. And I think the ideas that she has and the strategies that she has are great. I think they're effective. I think they're accurate to the position that she's in the game, but the way that she articulates herself is not as, I don't know, smooth as most of the other castaways, right? And I think some people confuse or mix up the way that she's conveying her ideas with the actual, efficacy of that thought process. And we're seeing it come out a lot in this episode here.
Yeah, I would say she's just a bit unpolished is the word that comes to mind.
Nor with game knowledge. She
so I like this idea. She plants the red sticks to make an X on the birdcage, and then she plants another red X back at their camp, and that is where she hides the fake idol. The only thing I wish that she would have done differently is maybe she should have hid the key. So then Sarah bought it. So in the big scheme of things, I guess it doesn't really matter. But for it to really been like chef's kiss, it's kind of like they'd be like, okay, you dumbasses, you can't find the key. So here it is.
Here's the key.
X marks the spot. But
that was one thing I also thought was a little sloppy. But once again, chaos shooting out, being pulled back in, not that big of a deal, because I thought that finding the key would make more sense, especially with it being on the birdcage. But Sarah was happy to find an idol anyway. But before that, I love the fact that the ex being there started conversation once again and another frantic search. And if they're searching and she's searching with them, then she continues to hide in plain sight because she looks like she's doing what everyone else is doing.
Well, and I think,
like that.
I think you can get caught. You can get caught playing with sticks by the cage, and you can play that off in 2 seconds. Like, she's Carolyn. Like, she can just say, like, I'm poking the bag with sticks, and everybody would be like, that sounds like it's right on character, right?
Playing Survivor.
If you get caught with the door open, that's a whole different world.
Whereas if like someone like me gets caught with sticks, like then that's a whole like
right. So she already had the fake idol out and the paper out. So if she wanted to do the key thing, she would have had to go back in the cage, hide it back in the cage again. And if that was me, I'd be like, listen, what can I do that if I get caught doing it, I can play it off? And it's like, I'm literally going to carry these 2 little red sticks. And if I get caught, I can just be literally playing with 2 red sticks, and no one's going to think anything of it.
Do you think she reopened the cage? Because I felt like the bag was a little cinched, a little tighter than it was the last time we saw it.
I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know, man. I would be so afraid. Like, you got away with it once, I would be terrified to even touch. Nothing metal can jingle because everyone's going to, like, no way. You know.
All right, so. Time for the reward challenge. Obviously, we got to have the reward challenge because we got to send people off to Shipwell Island. So,
were you surprised to see a reward challenge?
Well, I mean, especially in the context of all that is going to happen after the reward challenge. Holy crap!
Well, because we've been doing so many reward immunities, and that's how Claire has been able to sit out each time. Because if they did a reward challenge before, Claire wouldn't be able to sit out. Like, that's how that works. I was shocked to see a reward challenge to begin with because I felt like we've been getting so much more camp time with all these tribes because, when there's 2 challenges, there's just less time to talk to people. And,
well, I mean, that is the mechanism that they use to send people to Shipwell Island. I mean, for whatever reason, they don't, outside of the first episode, they can't think, oh, hey, we could just send a boat and tell them to pick somebody and send them. I feel like they have to incorporate it into the reward challenge. So anyways, here we are. It's a reward challenge, and it's going to be, just a fun little climb up the thing, untie stuff. Slingshot. Okay. Nothing to see here. The important thing is that
nothing to see here.
There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to talk about when there's still so much to talk about. It's a reward challenge.
Danny rolling. What about Danny rolling?
Danny rolls. But the big thing here is that whoever wins gets to decide who to send to Shipwell Island and who from the other tribes to go. So who do we see win our reward challenge?
The tribe that got rid of Claire to make sure they stay strong.
Yep. They pull it out again, and you're like, oh, okay, like maybe there was a method to this madness. So Soka back on top where they belong, according to them, and they choose to send Josh, which I think is interesting in the hindsight of knowing that Josh is the one that is probably going to be voted out. Why do you want to give him an opportunity to get something?
That's why I wonder if there's more to that than that just those confessionals they showed us. Like maybe it wasn't a foregone conclusion that he's going to be the one that gets voted out.
I don't know. I think I would have sent the person that you wouldn't mind losing.
Yeah.
But there's 2 ways to think of it. I guess send an ally. So if you get power, then they can bring power back. Right. But I don't know.
And on top of what Robbie's saying, like Josh feels like he's in the best spot because he thinks he's in the middle. So the 4 of them making Josh continue to think he's in the best spot. He's the consensus pick from both sides, right? Danny and Heidi wouldn't want to send Matt or Franny. Matt and Franny wouldn't want to send Danny or Heidi because they're 2 quote unquote warring factions. And I roll my eyes because, as we know, that's not really what the case was, but that's the picture. So then Josh is like, I can go. And they're like, Josh is the one we both feel comfortable with. And Josh is like, yes, I'm about to get an advantage. And so that's why you send Josh, even though because only the 4 of them know they're about to vote him off, and he's going to get an advantage that's going to go out the game because as far as he's concerned, he's the kingmaker. So
Sure.
I think that's why you send him.
All right. And then they decide to also send Carson and Jamie. So, you know, our 3 little friends go off to Shipwell Island. We don't get, once again, we're not focusing any on the journey this season. I mean, it's only the second one, but still, either these relationships have no
bearing on anything.
Thank you, on the merge, or else they're just going to let us all be surprised. Like,
question for you, Kiley.
How did you not know that Carson and Jamie Lynn are best allies? They went to Shipwell Island. We showed you for 2.3 seconds.
Well, question
just
for
like
you.
Heidi and Danny.
Do you think that they sent Carson and Jamie because they perceived them to be in trouble?
I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of thinking that goes into it. Whether you think that, oh, hey, this is someone, maybe they look untrustworthy or they look naive or whatever. I think there's different ways you can go about it.
Well, I'm just trying to get in the mind of Ahsoka, right? Why would you, especially the 2 that they sent?
Well, they sent the 2 women, Lauren and Jamie. Or the 2 women have gone, Lauren and Jamie from Ahsoka, or from.
But Lauren volunteered, had a rock draw, whatever. I'm talking about just from the viewpoint of Ahsoka.
I mean, from their standpoint, they've now sent the 2 women, and the men haven't gone. And then
True.
They're not sending Carolyn or Jam Jam because they're crazy. You know what I mean? So like, okay, well, Carson's the easiest choice.
What do you think, Karen?
Yeah, I mean, I think Carson's the obvious choice there, because of what Kiley just said. But and I don't know. I feel like Jamie just doesn't seem like she'd be that big of a threat. So if she has something, she's always could be easy to clip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I would have sent people who I feel like I was most likely to be able to get the truth out of if I talked to them. I don't think Jamie would be able to lie like straight to my face. Now I think that would be wrong, but if I was on the island, that's what I would be thinking. Right. And when I'm looking over at Carson's tribe, I mean, who do you think is going to be more likely to give you a straight answer? Carolyn, Jam Jam, Sarah, or Carson? If you haven't been on the island with Carson to see him work, I don't think I could trust that Carolyn would give me a straight answer. I don't think I could trust Jam Jam to give me a straight answer or to be able to figure it out. And Sarah's a wild card again, right? So it's really for me between Sarah and Carson. So I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, I feel like I would get information from all these people. So if I was on Ahsoka, like if I was one of the Ahsoka duos.
All right. So they get to the end, and guess what? You have received a hidden immunity idol. So this is where I've got my problems, folks. Okay. And this is where I'm going to go on my rant. Bear with me. So we are in the era of Survivor where you have to earn everything. You have to earn the merge. We're not giving you any food. This is hard. Here's 3 free fucking idols. Are you serious? And not just are they 3 free idols, but these aren't idols that are going to last you through the whole game. They're going to last you maybe 2 or 3 rounds because you have to use them before the merge. And guess what? We're gonna switch your tribes up. So you may not even get a chance to use this idol. And wow, like this is, to me, like whenever we saw the inheritance advantage, like, you know, whenever you're thinking about it logically, okay, there could be a situation where somebody could just like walk away with this huge bounty of, you know, advantages. But what they did single-handedly just wrecks Sarah's game, because there is almost no scenario where a person comes into a tribe and they are the only one that is swapped and they are not going to play it for themselves at the first tribal council they go to. I mean, you would be silly not to, and I would be willing to bet 9 times out of 10 they're going to play it for themselves. And so it is, I mean, they would have been better off to just say, hey, you're switching tribes and you're going to have immunity the first tribal council you go to. At least then everybody knows what you're working with. But this just to me, it is such bullshit. I've got so many problems with it.
Robbie, what are your thoughts?
I think Kiley's crazy. I think this makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
I think that putting a limit on it dampens the effect. I think
and not just that.
It doesn't dampen the effect. It almost guarantees when it's going to be used.
Sarah, if you don't want to go home, win the challenge.
You got to win the challenge. And
we're
at 14. We're about to go to merge anyway, so it's only going to be good for one person, probably.
Well, and if a lot of people who are on the island, I hear what you're saying, Kiley, it's obvious that they're going to use it, but I think it's so obvious that if it was me, I would say, here's what happened. They literally said, here's an idol.
No, I mean, if I
would hang it around my neck
I'm telling them straight up, I've got it.
I don't know you guys. I don't care. And I'm not playing it. And I'm saving it for the next tribal.
I wouldn't tell them about it.
See, there you go. See, that's the key. That's the key, right?
But then you would have to use it.
Yeah.
By not just giving them immunity, it allows for choice. Like Karen said, she wouldn't tell him. Robbie said he would just tell him, wear it around his neck.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that, though, right? And I said this earlier in the season. I think that, I think I said this about who was going to play their shot in the dark, and I said that they should have done it. They should have said they were going to do it. Was it Claire? Yeah,
Claire.
I said Claire should have told people at camp that she was going to do it, not because it's a threat. Ooh, she's going to play at 1 and 6. It's because it forces everybody else to come up with a backup plan. And then once you hear your name as the actual backup plan, well, now the game starts over again. And people are saying, well, why is my name the backup plan? It should be so-and-so for these reasons.
And you're not just the backup plan,
right?
You're a strong possibility to go because he's already shown you he has the idol.
Exactly, right? So if you wear the idol, even if you play it first time, doesn't matter. It causes everybody else to start throwing out someone's name. And then you can choose if you want to wear it or not. Whereas if you don't tell anybody, you basically have to wear it, or high percentage chance you're going home.
You choose
right?
to go home. You choose to go home.
Yeah.
Goes home
but
you don't tell them
I guess in a nutshell, I'm fine with them giving it because I don't want to see somebody come on here to a 3-tribe season, go one of 4 people on a tribe swap that they had really not a lot of power to do, even if you're on the tribe.
I hate,
even if you won that challenge
of us being in 3 tribes and then swapping one person. I'm literally against all of it.
Right.
I'm against the swap of one person. I'm against giving that one person basically safety for their first tribal council.
But Sarah didn't get screwed because of the swap. She got screwed because of Jam Jam. And we can touch on that later. But
we're going to. We're going to. Mark my words. But it's just, Karen, to me, it's another thing in a long line of things that Survivor is getting wrong.
Bro, it's a try and fail. You gotta test things.
Okay, but I feel like they're consistently. I feel like they're consistently failing on many things. And like I said, this is their, what do you mean what? Like you've had this.
You've got to try stuff.
Okay, you've had this, but we're trying the same shit again and again. I mean, yes, this one's a little bit different, but we're holding on to things from the past that aren't that good. Like what? The 3-tribe format.
Hourglass, 3 tribes definitely works. 3 tribes definitely works. It doesn't work right now.
It doesn't
work right now.
And it's not going to work when you do it 5 seasons in a row.
It's not working right now, but it has worked in the past.
Okay,
right? 4 tribes.
Like I'm saying, it's another thing that's unsuccessful. And you are having, and I am, even though I joked about it last night on our Baby Can podcast, check it out. I am not a feminist. Okay. Like I am not like women power, don't vote women off. But the tribe format, the layout of the challenges, not having real swaps, whatever the hell this is, does not count. You are seeing these women voted off, and it is, the Survivor community is getting very vocal about not liking what they're seeing. And so to me, this is just another example of like, guess what? Another woman gets voted off by this twist that they are just continuing to get wrong. Karen, I think you agree with me. What do you have to say?
Wait a minute. That you have to try things, right? You have to try things. If it doesn't work, you get rid of it, you change it. The hourglass didn't work. They changed it up, they got rid of it, right? This right here, I think the swap thing works, but I don't think that this 3 tribes currently is not working. I'm with you on that. But you gotta try things, you gotta see it doesn't work, then you gotta go. If Survivor is willing to make changes for the next season, then you can't fault them for giving things a shot.
Well, you can whenever they're doing so many things that are not good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it just, it comes down to, I don't know why this was thought to be like an idea good enough to try. With such tiny tribes and so few people, I don't know. I feel like you're just opening the door to potentially getting rid of like really great players, and you're just putting so much up to like, I know it's not all chance, but you're taking away from people's like good social games that they've built. And I don't know, and giving, I guess, giving weaker players opportunities, in my opinion. Which
I wish you guys,
I don't
I
know
wish
that
you
I
guys
need
could
to
have been
see.
here last week because we actually touched on this quite a bit about the inequality in a lot of the outcomes, in Survivor, especially early game with women being, what was it, 16-6 or 15-5
Yeah,
or
yeah.
I forget what the
And
math was.
and you add another one to the fire today,
right? But that being said, I don't think like you have to have examples where, yes, there was, systemic design failures in challenges that weren't designed to give everybody an equal shot.
Yeah.
And we touched on that a whole bunch. And last week, one of the ideas that Sheldon threw out was, maybe we need to rebalance it so there's actually like mathematically more women cast than men and balance it a bit differently so that the math swings the other way. And I said, well, I think that the 50-50 makes sense, but you have to balance the challenges because you can't have it where the physical aspect of the game grossly, outweighs
Correct.
the mental aspect if you're not going to cast equally physical women and men, right? If you're going to continue to cast much larger men and much smaller women, then you have to adjust the challenges. So that's the update from what we said last week. I don't think that's this challenge at all. Like I agree that there's problems in Survivor and how they design the challenges, but this challenge was crawl up on something tall, jump out. So it was a heights challenge. I don't think that's gender specific. Then it's swimming. Again, I don't think that's gender specific.
Right, but I'm not railing right now about the
then
she hasn't gotten to her challenge hate yet.
Okay, but
she hasn't gotten to her
then
challenge hate yet.
Then it's a balance beam, and then it's a puzzle that isn't heavy pieces. The puzzle early in the season, we got giant blocks that most people couldn't lift regardless of gender. That's not a puzzle challenge. That's another physical challenge. Okay,
right.
But this was not, I don't think, in my opinion, an unbalanced challenge. But I think what ends up happening here is Jam is belittling Carolyn this entire season. Now you can get into the gender aspects of that discussion, but I don't think that's a production issue. I think that's a Jam, the way he's treating Carolyn issue, just completely taking her for granted as if just being there, she must do what he says. Now, whether that's a social thing or whether that's a gender thing or whether that's just a demographic thing, I don't know.
Cultural thing. Not
cultural. It could be 100 different reasons that could cause that. Maybe just something that they said.
Because he's not like doing
right?
it to Sarah, and he wasn't doing it to Helen. So
no. And what do we see in this episode? We see Josh go over there, and at some point, I know we're skipping around a little bit, but I want to pin this really clearly here. We see Josh walk up, and for the first time that I can remember this entire season, somebody walked up to Carolyn, took the initiative to walk up to Carolyn and say, "Can I trust you?" And she says, "Yes. I want to trust you. I want you to trust me. Here's the information that I have. You and me can work together. Let's do this." For the first time.
He gave her some agency.
Right? Helen was polite, but it was Carolyn that initiated it, right? So he walked up and treated Carolyn as an equal castaway for the first time that season. And Carolyn appreciated being treated as an equal human being on this season.
Right. And I
think that had much more impact.
The human aspect of it, like what Josh does, what Carolyn does, like, I think this is kind of another scenario of like your cast kind of saving your ass a little bit. And that, this ends up being a good TV moment, but it's like, you not despite yourself. You know what I mean? Like
have a tribe swap. Like if we're going to do this, like, can we just do a tribe swap?
Well, we did do a tribe swap, right? The tribe swap was only one player, but we did a tribe swap. And we made that player safe. And my thing is that, like, and this is how we got here, is that we tried something, right? Kiley adamantly believes that this was the wrong choice. I think that this was a great choice because by making them safe, it makes them have to play. right? It makes those initial tribes have to figure out what they're going to do. In this case,
do we
let's
have
say,
the math to go to 2 tribes? We do, right? We had
or
one,
we're at
2.
14. Yeah, we're at 14.
We had 4 people out. We had 14 people. Could have done 2 tribes of 7. Every name in a pot. Everyone grab a buff.
Right. We haven't done
whatever it
that
is.
yet. We haven't gotten to that yet. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like the game is not doing that just yet. But my thing is that, like, with these 3 tribes, they did. Imagine if Sokka went, right? What happens if Sokka goes to tribal and what's her face? Jamie just got over there with them, right?
Mhm.
Jamie is now
with
going
her
to be
two
safe
with her two
with her 2 idols. Like, what Jamie's gonna have,
Yeah.
Jamie has the one she's gonna play for sure. So now they have to eat their own, right? Does Heidi go? Does Franny go? Does Matt try to play his idol? Do we go after Matt this time? Like, it forces them to have to go after each other. I like the concept. But Kiley feels like it was a poor execution, and that's fine. The thing is, though, saying that
I think it's going to lead
wrong,
to poor results. That is my problem, and I think it is going.
Hold on.
I think the results that you're going to get are going to be a continuation of the problems that they're already having, and that you see Sarah go, and I would be willing to bet if, Lauren is going to be in trouble if Ratu goes, and we're going to see Jamie's obviously going to be the target, hands down, and if she doesn't play it, she's going to get voted out. But then,
Josh was the target this time, though.
Right, but I'm saying
Josh was
Jamie's going to be the target, and she's hopefully going to play it. And then, do I think that Danny is going to be willing to let go of Matt, who he has now invested in this time of making him find a fake idol? No, I don't think Matt's going to be the person who goes. I think no matter what configuration you do, we're going to lose a woman from each of those tribes. Let's see what happens.
Definitely disagree. Well, we can't see what happens. We saw what happens. What
do you mean? We're going to see what happens because we got at least 2 episodes till the.
Oh no! I mean, I'm talking about with the we couldn't see what happens immediately after the swap.
No. I'm saying we've got 2 more episodes where these are probably going to be in play, and Ratu's not. I mean, Tika's not going to be able to go to both of those tribals.
So you think we're going to merge at 13 at 11, not at 13?
Right, that's what they've been doing. Huh?
Well, and it's not a merge. They're not alive. The idols don't stay alive until merge. They stay alive until everyone's living on the same beach. Yeah. That's the wording of it, right? So I noticed that as well. It didn't say until merge. It said until you're living on one beach.
They're all living on one beach.
So they can move them all into one beach, and that whole mergatory could be 3 episodes, 2 episodes. Like, we don't really know how they're gonna flow with that, right?
Yep. All right, but
it's got to be at least one more episode, though. It's got to be at least one more episode.
We could go on this for a long, long time, but we will definitely be talking about it again next week, I imagine. So, moving on, we're going to get Josh going back to the Tika Beach, and this is interesting because, oh, hey, you're a surgeon, right?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
no,
I love this.
No, what are you? No, I'm not I'm a personal trainer. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a personal I'm a personal trainer. Yeah, I'm a person. I mean, I tried to go to med school, and
right there, you're done.
And then
that's it. That's it.
I tried to go to med school, and I didn't do it. And then, like 11 years later, I became a personal trainer during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's it.
Someone says you're an astronaut, right? I saw some astronaut tattoo. You're like, well, I worked for NASA. And I went to astronaut camp.
But I didn't pass. I didn't pass
work.
But they did actually send me to the International Space Station. But
why would you say you couldn't pass the? No, I wish.
And they've clocked him because he in this challenge said that he had to have steady hands. And so not only does Sarah clock him, but then she sits down. She's like, okay, this man is 33 years old. He graduated college at 22. 11 years. He's been to med school. Love the whole moment.
I loved how Jam was like, that's the exact amount of time you need for med school.
Yes.
And she's like, bingo.
Yeah, really great. We get to briefly see Carson at Ratu, and he takes a little interesting approach, which I kind of like this. And he's like, Jam's making all the decisions over there. Jam's running the tribe, and I love that he throws Jam under the bus, even though I love Jam.
Well, I love that they were like, we assumed Jam was running the tribe. He's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, you're perfect assumption. That was
Ding ding, you got it.
Yeah.
Imagine how mad Kiley would be about this twist if we lost Jam last night because of it.
She wouldn't
Yeah.
be mad because it's a man. He's gone.
I
I
was pissed either way. I didn't want to lose Jam or Carolyn last night. I
Then
mean,
what do you want?
I wanted Josh to get voted out. Okay.
I wanted Sarah to get voted out, so I was happy with the result.
All right.
Sarah's boring to me.
That's rude. Okay, no.
I said she wouldn't make merge, so I was
You
happy
said
she
no.
would.
You did not say she wouldn't make merge. You
I
said
said
she'd be the first
boot.
one voted out.
I know. I was trying to slide that in there,
Wow.
Kevin. Come on now.
Wow. What did I say?
None of us had her making merge. None of us had her making merge.
Okay, good. All right. But we get Matthew. Matthew is another one. He's really fun and interesting to me. A little bit worried in that next time on Survivor scene. But
I'm super
Matthew
worried.
wants to sit down with Carson and just give him some knowledge. And guess what, Carson? Like, you got to go on the little trek with Jamie. And here's something you don't know about Jamie. She has an idol. And he's just building that little bit of trust. So, Karen, what do you think about this?
So it just, I was thinking a lot about how, I know we talk a lot about how people don't keep any secrets in Survivor, but really when you think about, like, trust is your only currency, or sorry, exchanging information is your only currency to build trust with. So if you can do that by giving information about other people without having to reveal your own stuff, then I think that's the perfect way to play it.
Yeah.
Without
I like it.
Too obviously throwing people under the bus, because you don't.
Yeah, I like it. And even if it's a thing of like, hey, you've got to meet Jamie. Me and Jamie were close. Like, you know, even if it's just a way to connect them with another person that they both know.
It reminded me of Evie a bit.
Mhm.
Evie was doing that, you know, on their season very well, taking information about other people and sharing it to build trust and not sharing any of
I'll
their
give you
own.
everyone else's information, just not mine.
Yeah, but honestly, when we came in here, Kiley, and you were a bit flustered with how the episode went at the opening of this little podcast we're doing, I thought you were talking about this scene, because this felt for the first time, and since as long as I can remember, to be a staged scene where I feel like this whole conversation somehow happened off camera or something, and they said, no, wait, come over to the beach. There was like 6 cameras on them. They got so many different angles. It was ridiculous. Like mid-sentence, changing to 3 different views. They were sitting on the perfect setting and everything. And he said, you know, I really want to build trust with you so that way we can work together. So I'm going to share information with you to build trust. And then he shares information. And then Carson's like, well, seeing as you shared that information with me, I think I can trust you now. And I'm like, people don't talk like that. Like that just, like I know you're making a show and you have to try to catch it. And they were probably whispering down the pathway, and the camera guy had to take a leak or something. And you know, they just missed it for a half second. Hey, whoa, back up. What did you just say? What's going on here? Right.
I mean, I didn't get it being staged, but I mean,
I
can
rewatched
see
the
what you're saying.
episode. I rewatched it with my son tonight, and when we were going through it and I saw it the second time, I was like, oh, it was so cringeworthy. It was so cringeworthy watching it back. Like, this just feels like they said, okay, remember, here's what you said. All right, and action.
All right, I gotta watch it again and see if I get that vibe. All right, but time for the also Jamie goes to Soka, and I don't think there's a lot to say there.
Oh yeah, about that. Yeah.
Forgot that little tidbit, but to me there was nothing to really like, okay, this is interesting.
Jamie goes to Soka. Jamie is the expected vote out. I love the fact that Jamie goes to Soka, and then as we go to this next challenge, they're like, perfect, new person to sit out. We're going to
New Claire, go sit on the bench.
New Claire, go sit over there. And she's like, I'm Jamie. A great new Claire. Sit down on the bench.
Yeah. Claire too.
We'll
Claire too.
We'll see you next week.
The new Claire, you can guess it out. Yeah. So Robbie kind of outlined this challenge in that we have a little bit of swimming, a little bit of jumping, a little bit of balance beam, and then a puzzle. Same thing. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this because there's still so much good stuff to talk about. This is the type of challenge that I want to see because it is a little more balanced and a little more even. And so, like, thank you for putting something in that all genders can perform fairly equally.
Shouts to Lauren, man, because I forgot that she was on this tribe, and her not getting the key reminded me that she was. And I love Lauren, and I want to see more of her. But I forgot that. I mean, we haven't seen that tribe outside of Matthew. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen outside of Matthew. We haven't seen that tribe at all. So seeing Lauren, I was like, oh yeah, Lauren is great.
Yeah, I mean, I miss her. Like, I am hoping that she doesn't get screwed by this terrible.
I forgot about Kane too.
All right,
completely forgot about Kane.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Kane.
Completely forgot about Kane.
All right, but we're going to get to see Soka and Ratu kill this challenge and just leave poor little Tika in the dust. New arrangement of people. Unfortunately for Tika, it's the same result, and they're going to be going back to tribal council. Womp, womp, womp. Are any of you surprised that they are the tribe that doesn't pull this out?
Sorry, I was just going to say, how did you guys feel about Carson and Lauren being put up for that puzzle? And like, I'm assuming you choose out of the start, right? Like everybody knows what parts they're going to do at the very beginning. Yeah. And was it like, did Lauren have to do the balance beam, or could Lauren bypass the balance beam completely because she didn't, like, someone else had to redo the whole thing for her? Because we never got to see Lauren do the balance beam, right? So did they basically send Lauren to the end right off, like right early, to just rest and get ready for the puzzle? But I felt like it was a huge high risk play because they took the new person and the one that wasn't going to do the challenge, put them in the high pressure position on the puzzle, and then said, basically, you better succeed.
I felt like they said to Lauren, you're shorter. You may not get it. If you don't get it, someone else will come back and get it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a part of the strategizing ahead of time, which is brilliant because she gets one go at it. She didn't
even hesitate.
Turn back. Didn't even turn back. Just started.
She knew what was going on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She missed it and then keep going. And I don't know if it was to rest up, because remember, she still had to swim all the way there. Yeah. So she still had to get all the way there without the rest period of the balance beam in between. It was just a dead swim. So then Brandon had to go back and then come back, which I thought was interesting, that it wasn't like you didn't get to keep going first and then have someone go back and go. Brandon had to go back and immediately before they could continue on. And Brandon was gassed. Right? Brandon's cardio is not great.
Were you surprised Carson didn't go?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like for a swimming challenge, sending the biggest, most muscular person, it's probably not like you think he's gonna get gassed, right? Like you'd think so. But anyway, sorry, we're bogging down. Gassed. I was just shocked at the selections and the choices that they made as a tribe in that challenge. That you saw him gassed.
Yeah, I mean, I just assume like they're gonna send Brandon back. Like Brandon is Brandon.
You assume they were gonna send Brandon back. You thought they were gonna send Brandon back. Really?
Yeah.
I definitely thought they were going to send Carson because of the size. Because Brandon was definitely dragging a little ass at the end because he's backstroking and he's hitting the butterfly a little bit.
He was in the NFL. Your ass, you swim twice. Go.
Yeah.
Automatic.
Enough said, Kylie. Enough said.
All right, but time to go back to the Tika Beach. And this is where things are going to start to get interesting because, of course, all of them are going to have their little conversations with Josh and assure him, like, we get the scene of Sarah and Jam Jam with Josh, and they're like, it's Carolyn, like she's erratic. She sucks at challenges. She's kind of crazy. We're going to vote her off. You're totally good. And then we get the conversation of the 3 original Tikas And this is where things start to break down a little bit and get really, really interesting because Jam, kind of what you've hit on, Robbie, he does a little bit of mansplaining almost to Carolyn and is like, so we're going to tell him it's you and you're going to be okay with it. And yes, this is the second time that we've done this.
Mad.
Don't be mad.
Yeah, don't be mad.
Not trust us or we trust each other. We're solid. It's don't whine about it.
I really want to see the conversation that Carolyn and Jam must have had, or I don't know, maybe she didn't say anything, but like he's so dead set. Like if they're working so closely together, then what if he has an idol? That means I go home.
I'm sure it was a hush. He doesn't have an idol. This is
yeah, I mean, it's a total shutdown. And I mean, this isn't going to make me change my love for Jam, but it's a little bit of a flaw in what up until last night had looked like a pretty seamless game. And
it changed mine completely.
I think it's a cultural thing now.
No, you know what? Listen, I think this is the type of personality that's coming out where it looks like an individual who is used to putting on a little bit of flash and dash and laugh and smile, put on a big character and leave the room before any type of conflict can happen or go on to your next conversation and just be so, loud and charismatic that people just assume, oh, like he didn't mean it. Like there's no way he meant that. There's no way he meant it that way. Or, he didn't mean to do that. He's just being Jam. It's just Jam. The difference is now they're living with Jam. And when he said, you know what, don't be mad. I know you're going to be mad, but it's because they think I'm a threat and you're not. And, Carolyn says, well, that's not the first time you've said that, which means that conversation's already happened before. Right.
Yeah. And I mean,
he doesn't talk to Sarah like this. He doesn't talk to Sarah like this. Right. So I don't think it's just a man woman thing. This is a Jam Carolyn thing. He's just picked Carolyn out and is just
I think it leads back to the first vote. I think it goes back to the first vote. I think in the first vote he feels like he saved her, so now she's indebted to him forever.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, I
mean, it's ugly.
Like it's awkward.
It's very, very ugly.
It's awkward, and you can sense it in that moment. Where you're like, ooh, okay, this is real. This is a fracture that we did not see. Like, the last we saw, Jam's running up the beach reenacting Baywatch, and they're talking about, snoring. Like that's the last we get of this dynamic where you're like, oh, okay, like Carolyn and Jam, the two oddballs have come together. No one would ever expect, but there's this like a real life, deep-seated thing that is happening. And I think that what Carolyn said in the very first episode to Helen, where, like, I'm kind of always the person that's left out of things because I'm kind of weird. And, I think that Jam probably unintentionally is hitting a nerve with Carolyn. And, it's something that she's experienced a lot in her life of people kind of just discounting her. And
that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that Jam just doesn't respect her game knowledge,
right?
And her agency. He doesn't see her as, like you were saying, Robbie, as an equal in terms of her gameplay because of her chaotic demeanor.
Free spirit.
Yes, but I don't think it's at all meant to be malicious. Right.
I don't think so either.
I think that he's like we said, does not respect her gameplay. And he feels like he saved her. He did her a favor. He kept her around for his own sake. So that way he had a vote and not accounting for her own agency. And as Kiley asked earlier, people surprising us in this game, Carolyn is a huge surprise to me because I thought it was going to be, like I said early, just Nora, but instead she's Nora with strong game knowledge.
And we've all done it too, not just our podcast, but I feel like almost every Survivor podcast, like you saw Carolyn pregame and instantly everybody was like, okay, she's Nora. She compares herself to Nora.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, we've all kind of discounted her, and we have the luxury of getting to watch her develop over 4 episodes now. Jam Jam's been with her for 8 days. You know what I mean?
8 days, yeah, and he sees what he sees in his lens of those 8 days, right? He's not seeing, like, I do wonder what happens after this episode in terms of how he sees her, but Robbie, I'm with you. I think it's a little off-putting, but I think that was all just like a discounting of her abilities and not assigning her the agency that she deserves.
I do wonder though, like how much she's sharing with him about her game knowledge, because like we do see it in the confessionals. But based on what I'm seeing in the confessionals, I'm thinking she's keeping all of that to herself and to producers, which is the right thing for her to do. But I think that is also contributing to him just thinking like she doesn't know what's going on.
He can just bulldoze her, tell her what the plan is, and she'll just go along with it.
But the fact that he thinks that's okay, and the fact that he thinks it's okay to do in front of other people with Sarah sitting there is a huge problem. That's a huge problem. And the fact, sorry, go ahead, Karen.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, what I want to see is like this being like a learning experience for him, and this like strengthens his game and like strengthens his self-awareness.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. My gut is telling me that he is going to triple down on everybody else being the cause of it, and the Jam Jam show is still going to stay the Jam Jam show because that got him on the show. Do you know what I mean? And when you see episode 1 and you see Carolyn walking up to someone and saying, I'm recognizing that everyone's talking, but not to me, and she's making an attempt, she's aware, right? She can see where she is in the world and how other people are viewing her. Jam Jam is not seeing that right now, and I don't see that changing because he got blindsided. I see him doubling or tripling down.
I don't know that he can. I don't know that he can because we're only down to 3.
Oh, it's going to be a crash and burn. It is. I think this is the crash and burn of a character that we were all hoping to love, and I think that very, very soon it's going to be. I could be really wrong on this. He could maybe come out and just say, "Listen, I got to make up here and apologize for everything and stop bashing her." But I think he's so entrenched in that mindset, and it kind of really disappoints me because I was really looking forward to this character. But I think, man, I think that's
he
it.
Becomes contrite. I think he has to become contrite because there's only 2 of them. He has to try to get Carolyn back because she just voted. Well, we're not there yet, but there's only 3 of them left, right? And so there's one of them that's the very obvious villain to what just happened, right? And then the other one that made another choice. Kiley, I want to go back to what you were saying though about us having a few more episodes until the non-merge mergatory.
Yeah,
whatever.
just do one.
That's what I was going to say. What happens if we go down from 3 to 2 on that tribe?
So actually, if you listen to the Jeff Probst podcast today, which I thought may be alluding to what may happen, he said that if a tribe were to go down to 2 people again, they can't vote for each other. They would be dissolved into the other 2 tribes. So I think if Tika goes back, then those 2 people are divided up and sent to Ratu and Soka. Yeah. And I was like, oh God, please don't let this be like for voting. What's it called?
Foreboding, foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing is more the word I was looking for.
A foreboding foreshadow is that's interesting.
Well, that's what it is.
Sure.
Anyways, just don't let this be what is going to happen because I'm still rooting for mom and dad to get back together. Okay, but from this conversation of Sarah and Josh and Jam Jam, Josh goes and talks to Carolyn, and he's like, I'm just not really feeling it with those 2. Like, I don't think they're being really completely honest with me. And I kind of just like, I like your vibe and I'm feeling you. Can I tell you something? And Carolyn's like, yes. And he tells Carolyn about the idol. And he's like, look, they're going to vote for you. And I'm going to play this idol on you. So in that moment, do you think Josh is being dead ass that he would have played the idol for Carolyn? Like, does Carolyn go back and tell Josh, hey, no, play it for yourself? Or does Josh make a game time decision of like, okay, I can't save Carolyn, I have to save myself? Which do y'all think here?
I thought it was very interesting that he even discussed playing it for her.
Yeah, that was wild to me. But maybe he was never planning on doing that, and he just wanted to like really,
Reel her in.
Or maybe it's even a thing of like, hey, I think maybe Carolyn's going to go back and tell them that I have an idol, but Carolyn doesn't. Carolyn's
Robbie,
like,
is this him wearing it around his neck by telling Carolyn?
Partly, but I think that there's conversations that go on when you're on a tribe. So when he's back on Soka and you're sitting around talking about the other tribes, thinking who's running the show, who's a big threat, all this stuff, and what happens if we have a chance to take a shot at someone, who do we take a shot at? It might be conversations like that went on too, where he knew, okay, we're going to take a shot at Sarah if we ever get a chance. Here's my chance. And I think he was being honest when he said that he would use it, because I think he believed it was real information, that they were going to vote for Carolyn, or they were going to vote for him, but they're going to vote for Carolyn. And that if he did that, then they would get Sarah out and his old tribe would like him. He thinks he's in with both of the duos on the old tribe, right? He doesn't see why he should turn his back on them. Right. But I think the moment that he mentioned, can I trust you? There's no way Carolyn didn't just light up right there.
Right.
And you would have to feel that as a human being, like, holy shit, she is all in right now. We are in this. And your follow-up question of, did Carolyn go and tell Josh to play it for himself? I think 100%, absolutely. I don't know if that came out anywhere, but in my mind, I don't think it could be any more.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the flashback next week, because we'll for sure not be starting the next day on the beach. We're gonna for sure be starting that night back.
Oh yeah,
yes.
And in addition to what Robbie was saying, I think I felt the genuineness of Carolyn when she said, I know that they're saying that it's the three of us, but it's not really the three of us. I felt that she truly felt that way. She deserves an Academy Award, because she was really able to play that part that she was being left out. And then Josh is like, yeah, they told me they were voting you, so let's do something about that.
So now here's sorry, go on.
I felt like that she was being genuine in that feeling. So then that made him, like Robbie was saying, can I trust you? Here's this little nugget of what I got.
So now here's my next question. Heading into Tribal, where do y'all think Carolyn actually is? Because I felt like she's not going to do this to Jam Jam and Sarah. Like, she's playing Josh. And I felt heading into Tribal that she was going to vote Josh out. That also confounds did she tell Josh to play the idol for himself, or did Josh just decide to do that on his own? Because obviously, once we get into Tribal Council, Jeff asks Jam Jam this question, and Jam Jam, open mouth, insert foot. And he really, really isolates Carolyn here. Okay, we can't have a Karen on the podcast and a Carolyn on the show. I can't distinguish between those two names. Sorry. But he really, really isolates her here. Words all together, struggling. With saying like, yeah, do we just vote her out and, bye, Felicia?
I felt like going into Tribal Council, I thought that Carolyn was going to stay with Jam Jam and Sarah, because I would feel that he's not going to vote. They're not going to vote me out, because Josh does play his idol. He plays it on me. If he doesn't play it on me, he's still not going to vote me. So I think that I'm sticking with voting with them, and then whoever he sends home, and it's probably not going to be me, so I'm going to be fine. If I'm Carolyn, that's how I'm feeling. Once I get to Tribal Council, I'm sitting there, and Jam Jam is continuing to act, and I don't feel like he's acting. I think I change how I'm doing things, because I know that I'm not acting. And Jam Jam told me to like just be chill about it, but this doesn't feel chill. So
like this, you're saying you don't want to play with, like the old kid from school anymore, but like this feels like you're definitely, you're not saying Carolyn, but I feel like you're meaning Carolyn. And I don't know if it's just that this is struck too close to home as, okay, like I don't think I'm as in good with this group as I think I am, but either way, like I think this is the nail in Sarah's coffin. Jam's comment is the nail in
Well,
Sarah's coffin.
what did you guys think Carolyn was feeling when she went in?
I wasn't sure because she has shown self-control in the past. So that's the reason I thought that maybe she would stick with him, even though she really, really, really wants to vote Sarah out. But then, so I wonder when she made the decision, like, was it beforehand or was it at Tribal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could see like a lot more of this footage to like dissect it a little more.
Yeah, I had to figure it out.
I'm thinking that for the rest of the season, I'm going to assume that Carolyn is dialed in and knows the right move to make and when, and that she just, like I said, conveys it in peculiar ways, you know, according to some and myself before the season. I think going in here, Carolyn knew the right move was to pre-tribal tell Josh, the vote's on you. Let's get Sarah out. I'm going to put the vote with you or on you as well, but I know you're safe. Use it on you. Don't use it on me. I know you want to use it on me. Don't use it on me. Use it on yourself. Save yourself. And then when we go back to Tribal, Jam will still trust me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, not Tribal, but go back to the camp. Because it would have been a 3-1 turned into a 1-0 vote. Jam wouldn't have felt betrayed. He would have felt shocked that the idol came out. And Carolyn, I think, is smart enough to know that, you know, that's the case. And I think what happened was they got there, and like you said, Jam did perfect acting. Like, you 100% thought that he was putting votes on Carolyn, and really, but again, the ease at which he bashes Carolyn in front of everybody is a problem. And that really came in handy for him to sell that he was going to vote her out, because he talked trash about her just like he does at camp. So he just kept going.
He's a method actor.
He's a method actor out there, right? That's exactly it. Method actor. Anyways, I think that's why when the vote came out, 2 to nothing, I think that's when you see the hand come across from Josh that says, "Holy shit! Like, you jumped on me too. Like, you didn't just do it, you know. You actually put the vote down.
Yeah,
over and held Carolyn's hand." Has anyone else come anywhere near holding Carolyn's hand this season?
Right.
Like, no way. We're day 8, something like that, right?
This is a united front. And so, if Tika goes, like, is it an easy vote for Carolyn? Because I mean, Carolyn is definitely the decision maker now. Like, she's flipped her position. If Tika goes back, she is going to get to decide, do I go with Josh, my new ally, who wants to play with me, trusts me, values me, or do I go with Jam, the person I've been with the whole time, but has this kind of low opinion of me? And so very interesting, but very sad. Like I said, I feel like mom and dad are getting a divorce. And it makes me sad because I love them both so much. But back to the tribal council, like, Josh 100% made the right decision in playing the idol for himself, what he should have absolutely done. And question mark, TBD, if this was the right decision for Carolyn long term. 8 weeks from now, we're looking back and we're talking about the season and Carolyn's the winner, then this is absolutely the right decision. If her having, not 2 strong allies going into the merge ends up biting her in the ass, then it wasn't necessarily the right decision. But we'll see what happens. Any other thoughts, y'all, about the episode in general?
I think that, and especially this tribal council, Josh was put in a position where he's fighting for his life, but this time he knows it. He didn't know it on his other tribe. And I think that Jam's going to have to come back and just try to have mom and dad get back together. And like Robbie was saying, it's going to come down to what Carolyn wants to do. Robbie was saying that going forward, he's just going to assume that Carolyn's going to make the right decision. I think that she's still a very highly emotional player. So I think that they're going to get back and then Jam's going to be hurt. that she didn't vote with them, and then she's gonna let him know I don't feel a part of the plans ever, and I'm tired of being told what to do, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it because he listened to me. Josh listened to me and came with what I had to say, and you're gonna see there's gonna be a real impassioned speech. I don't know if we see it, but I think because of the volatility of their emotions for the both of them, both Jam Jam and Carolyn, I think there's going to be a lot of screaming between the two of them, and maybe even three of them, because Josh might get involved too. He's the only one left, so he might as well get to yelling. Also.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. I'm ready for next week.
So I didn't know if Karen was jumping in on that or not.
Well, my computer froze, so I was like, okay. All right, you guys are back.
There you are.
Yeah, anyway, I was just going to say my final thoughts on the episode. Just seeing the Carolyn and Josh connection is the reason I want a real tribe swap, because we're, I think, robbed of a lot of connections. Like, I wouldn't have expected to see them work together like that, even though I still think we didn't see very much of it, which is why we need some 90-minute episodes, especially on an episode like this with so much going on. But that's just like one example of something we could be getting that we're not getting.
So do you want you say a real tribe swap? Do you, and Kiley was mentioning it earlier, back in Africa, they sent 3 people to like a summit, and then the 3 people swap tribes, right? Because there's only 2 tribes at the time. Do you want them to send 2 people and have the 2 people swap to like 3 different tribes?
No, I want everybody to reach in, grab a buff.
Right. So, but if we're not doing that, because we started at 41 was drop the 4, start with the 1. This is 44, right? And
correct.
So Africa was season 3. And they went with a 3-person tribe swap that way. That was the first time they ever did a tribe swap of any sort. Let's say we were to improve on this idea. How would you want to improve on this idea?
Bring the 4
right.
back.
No, baby. I got that. That's not the option, though. That's not the option here. That's not what we're asking. How do you guys want to improve on this?
Sure.
They have to mix it up. And I mean, this is also me like getting into some of the flaws I think that we're seeing with Survivor. And I'll tell you also what scares me about it is listening to Jeff Probst's podcast is the things that people are like, I don't like this. This seems to be a bit of a problem. Jeff is like, I love this. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
And
so improve on
well, I'm saying one of the things that I'm also hating is that we see Carson 3D building puzzles because we have the same puzzles again and again and again, especially the past 4 seasons. Matthew's able to build this snake puzzle in his backyard. And Jeff is like, I love this. These young kids, they're out here, they're building it, they're studying it. No, Jeff, like this is broken. Like you don't want it. You don't want that. And it's the combination of every single aspect of it and him being so stuck in this is the way it is. This is the new era when there's clearly some problems.
So if the swap didn't happen and this tribe went to tribal and you have Jam Jam, Sarah, Carson, and Carolyn, who goes?
Sarah's still getting voted out.
Right? Do you feel Sarah's 100% going here?
Yeah, she is. Took a little of the wind out of myself,
right?
But
okay. So the other thing I want to say is now that I kind of just nailed that one.
Nailed that one down.
The other thing I really want to say is,
but once again, if they don't give him an idol, does Sarah go?
Yes,
she
played a big
not necessarily. Is Carolyn going to go to Rocks? No.
In your multiverse reality, we were robbed of what I think is about to turn into a hell of a Carolyn character. Carolyn would still be the browbeaten ally member, the talked down to bashed ally member.
Mhm.
By having this happen where it was a 3-tribe with one individual swap, it gave Carolyn, by fluke, sure, who knows who was going to go where. That's fine. But by happenstance, Josh goes over there, and now we have what could be one of the most memorable characters of the post 40 seasons in what we might get from Carolyn. Who knows? Like I said, because it's so early in the season, only episode 4. But I love what I'm seeing from Carolyn. Whereas if this was a full, let's say the 3 tribes went to 2, right? 2 tribes of 7. Not a lot of people are running to Carolyn saying, "Do you trust me? Let's work together. Here's my idol." There's a lot of other people to work with, right?
Right,
And
but I'm not
I still
saying
think
that
Carolyn would be in the background.
I want these changes solely for Carolyn. I want them for all of the people that we're seeing. Like Helen looked like she could have been an interesting player.
Yes.
Sarah never really got her foot down. Maddie didn't have. You know what I mean? Like there's so many.
That's fair, but I would lose 10
I
Sarahs
feel like
for Carolyn.
If it's, and the fact that it's also predictable, like, yes, this has mixed it up a little bit for this time, and it will probably be in the next cycle because nobody's seen it. So will this happen in 45? Absolutely, it's going to.
Wait, 45?
They'll go back to the drawing board at 46 and decide whether or not to use this again. But
have they filmed 45 already?
45 will, I'm sure it's been filmed before they aired 44. Or it will be filming now.
They should be going. Yeah, they should be going out to film right now. So I mean, they will have seen this.
They might be going right now. They might have seen this. They might not have seen it. But I feel like a lot of the stuff that happens, they don't get to see, and they do it in these.
True. No, you're right about that on the back to back. But I think this is the start of the new 2 season.
Right. So but if you're going to continually to start in 3 tribes of 6. No true swap, and you do it 6 seasons in a row, there's some flaws. Okay, but we'll continue to talk about it because we got a whole season still ahead of us, and we don't want to just always be negative. Sorry for being negative all the time, y'all. But anyways, I am excited for next season to see the fallout between mom and dad and what happens, and if they're able to get back together. Robbie, got anything going on?
Just my excitement to watch Jam Jam fall apart and watch all the Jam Jam lovers start crying in their cereal here. And that's about it. I'm excited to see everybody start trusting Carolyn. But that's it.
All right.
That's all I got.
Karen.
Cancel pros.
Anything going on?
No.
You gotta put that up. Sorry. You gotta put it up. You gotta put Sheldon's. You gotta call Sheldon out here. I just read that out loud. I did not mean that. I was reading a comment. Okay.
Sheldon's called for pros to be canceled. Sheldon should stay in the comments. Karen's got nothing going on. I loved it. For me, catch me and Sheldon back here tomorrow talking about BB Can. We're gonna be talking about the eviction and what happened in the veto and all that good stuff, and probably not a new HOH because BB Can doesn't like to give you that, nor do they like to give you feed. So, we won't be talking about that, but we'll be talking about everything that happened in the episode. Catch us tomorrow night. Also, find me at KG Fury. That's where I'm at doing stuff. You can find Sheldon at KG Fury because that's where he's at doing stuff. It's a different kind of site, completely different than what I'm doing on my stuff. But if you're into that, I'm not here to kink shame. Kiley, go ahead.
Right. And we will be back live next Thursday night after the 5th episode of Survivor 44, where I'm sure I will have some new things to bitch about. So
Probably.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel and you get a notification every time we go live, and stay up to date on all the latest for the fans. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, y'all.
Peace.